Hey guys, girls and stalkers. Tonight I'm going to do a special commentary, I will show you some parts of my retro collection I have. And guess what? Tonight it's all about this one, the Nintendo Game Boy. That's actually my first game console I ever had. Real game console. Well, handheld, you would say today. It's the old one, so the big fatty. And you can see it's pretty old because, the covers got kinda yellow with time. Because the back is more grey like it used to be. You can see if you go near, maybe it's somewhere 1989 was built, released probably. Yeah, well, let's see. Guess what? It has a game in it, Tetris, and it's still working. Wait for the Tetris sound. I was really lucky. I got that for Christmas. It was a Christmas present from my parents. And we at that time we didn't had really much of money, so I was really happy to get one because everybody else had one. And it was actually not on release, so because everybody else had already one. And if I remember correctly, I was 12 back then. So but that wasn't the only one that got a Game Boy at that Christmas, because my sister got one too, and I still kept it. And guess what? It's working too. With Tetris, of course, as you can see. I'm really surprised that they still work, because we weren't really nice to them. Well, I was kind of a collector back then too, so I wasn't happy with that one. And soon after they released this one, they announced in TV. I was watching a lot of TV back then. They released a new kind of one. I fell for that. Well, I was really young, so I had to get a new one. And that was this one. They did not change a thing about the Game Boy except the colors. And as a special one, they released also one with a plastic cover. You could look through it. And I was really fascinated by that. So I grabbed my, what was that back then, 100, something about 120 Swiss francs back then. I collected from my little earnings I got to get that one. And of course, it still works too. So I have now, years later, 3 Game Boys with which are working. I still really like this one. I think a year after those came out, they already announced the Game Boy Color, so it was the same engine, everything was the same. No, stop. First they released a thinner one, so that's the thick baby. The thinner one was kind of like that, and after that they released the color, the first one with a color display. You see, this one just had this liquid 2 colors, but the engine was still the same. So yeah, that were the 3 Game Boys I had, or I still have. But yeah, the console wasn't everything, so I had, of course, games too. Since we hadn't really much of money, we had just a few games at the beginning. So yeah, starting off with Tetris, you got with the console, and then we had Super Mario, Super Mario Bros. 2, and Wario Land. That were the 3 games I had. And in school I made a big deal with another guy of my class. That was actually already years later. And he traded for Wario Land and Super Mario following games. Another Tetris. I used to play really much of Tetris because, yeah, I kinda liked it. It was easy, and yeah, you could just stop anywhere and start over again. And it was one of the only games I had which you could play together with somebody, because you always had to get 2 games to play with each other. So that guy traded me another Tetris, so I have 4. And I got Fort Field Zone. That's kind of a shooter. Well, today you wouldn't call it a shooter, but he traded it with another piece of Fort Field Zone, and that was actually a game you could play in co-op mode. So I played through it several times on my own, and together with my sister we played through that game. Yeah, with my sister, my Barbie sister kind of type. So, but I got other games too. So I got this one, the Spot Cool Adventure. That's about the yellow spot with legs. You see nowadays just as a GIF smiley or emoticon on forums and such. So actually, that was back then. It was a game which was kind of featured, and everybody knowed that character. And I got Gremlins 2. At that time, I was a really huge fan of Gremlins, especially the second the second movie. I just like those creepy creatures messing up everything. Well, nowadays it's kind of cheap and such, but back then it was really funny and cool to watch. From the gameplay here, this game wasn't really good. I never really played it a lot. I always tried, but I failed. And yeah. So I got, with the package, I got also games I disliked, like this one. That's a racing game, Dead Heat, Scramble. I never got the hang on racing games. Even back then, I kind of hated it. I can't say, it's just kind of strange to play it. And another piece of that was this one, NASCAR from Konami. Actually, this one is easier to play than this one. This one was absolutely crap. Probably, if you would compare it to games nowadays, this will be a Need for Speed, and this one would be a Forza or a Formula One. So more in like a simulator, and this one more for fun. Yeah. So I got these two together, and that's still part of the deal with that guy. I got this one also. I'm not sure how to pronounce that name of it. Burrell Fighter Deluxe. Well, the only thing I remember about that game is that the gameplay was pretty cool, and you could play for hours on that. I never really finished it because it was getting too hard, but at least I faced some boss fights on that one, and yeah, well, it's still fun to play. And now a little bit of that were the C games. Now let's get over to the B games. I got Turtles 2 back from the sewers. Sewers? I don't know how to pronounce that. Turtles were pretty famous at that age I was back then because of the movies and of the cartoon series they had, and of course there were turtle games also out, like this one, but it is also, you can play it for some parts. It's like a jump and run, a 2D jump and run, if I remember correctly, but it really gets tough after a short while, so I never finished that one. Then another game I played a lot was Castellion. This one I used to mess up with Castlevania. Whenever somebody talked about Castlevania, I thought about this one. It's just, I don't know why, maybe because of the word castle in it. And this game is a jump and run where you have to climb a turret. You see on the picture, turret. And you jump around that turret until you're on top of it. You face some different enemies you have to avoid, and the hard part of it is to get the right timing and know where the enemies will show up and where are the gaps, and if you have to go right or left to get up. Yeah, I never reached the top, but I always tried to, get to the end. Then I got still on the deal with that guy for 3 games. I got this one. It looks like Robocop, but it isn't. It's called Probotector. Kind of an Asian mecha game. Like Gundam. I played it a little bit, but also not very far because it's getting really, really hard. I think that's something never changed with Asian games. They still tend to be pretty hard. Then one game I will never ever forget is this one. I already mentioned it on Big Boss and Ryan's triple commentary, where we played Aliens Colonial Marines. This one is actually the scariest game I ever played, and I replayed it tonight, and it is still the scariest game I ever played, because it has just such a horrific and terrific soundtrack, and from gameplay it is also not really easy, because everything is on English. As a child, I really didn't know what that means, what they were talking about, and what I had to do. And even when I tried it tonight, the time until the aliens appears is so short, so that you get slaughtered before you can even get the things you need to defeat them. So if you don't know where to go and such, you're just dead. And I mean dead. You don't have another life. Yeah. Then, we are still talking about that deal with that guy. I got this one. That's actually Ninja Gaiden Shadow. Well, I got it like that already. I didn't rip off the cover. It's still working. It's just the cover that's screwed. I got that from this guy, and it's a 2D game. I never. It's one of those games I played. I replayed a few times, but I never ever got the hang of it, how they worked and what I had to do and where to go and stuff like that. So yeah, I really can't say if it's good or not. Then two famous games of my my age. Oh, I'm so old. Are those two. I'm sorry for the misspelling, but I wrote that when I was kinda, 12, 11, no, 12, 13 or something like that. So, yeah, I'm sorry. So that's actually Double Dragon and Double Dragon 2. The funny thing about those two are they're pretty much the same. They even look the same. But this one is easier to play than this one. Here the enemies are really tough. And here they're at least beatable. I got further with this one than here. Those are beat 'em up games, like, yeah. Well, you can't compare it to games nowadays, but for their age, their beat 'em ups games. I played this one way more than this one, because yeah, I never finished this one, but yeah, I just tried to get further. Then a really famous game I have, and I just realized that I have, is this one. I have Metroid 2 for Nintendo Game Boy. Well, I played it. I never played it to the end. It got too hard for me. Well, I should try it nowadays. Probably would be easier. It was one of the games I used to play a little bit more than the other ones that were too hard, because yeah, it was kind of nice character, and it was funny to transform into a ball and roll through the levels. So yeah, that's all I remember. by now. The second last game. No, not this one. The second last game I have is Mega Man 3. Whoo! I didn't know I have Mega Man. It's kind of similar to play like Metroid or Burl Fighter Deluxe, or yeah, and yeah, Mega Man is kind of was tough for me. I just noticed I haven't really finished any game I had. So yeah, that was also the reason why I traded Super Mario and Wario Land, because those I could easily finish, and these games here I couldn't finish. They were just really, really hard to play. So yeah. And the last game I got for this trade is this one, Street Fighter 2. And this game is actually the reason why I'm a huge Street Fighter fan, but even though I suck at the new Street Fighter games, this one I played through with every character, through all levels, through all difficulties, through all modes. So that's the game I played most of the time, and even I can't remember all of the combinations by now. And I just tried to push buttons until the enemy got defeated. This one I really, really enjoyed. And yeah, that's probably because why I'm a Street Fighter fan. Well, this game and probably the Street Fighter comic they released. Whew, I still have those 4 comics. They're somewhere in my collection. And they're really, really old now. Yeah, so that's my pretty long commentary about my retro game collection. And just to end it a little bit with something special, I will put in, where is it? Alien 3, and show you how scary that sound was back then. So, welcome to my nightmare of a game. I hope you can see it. So, that's how it starts. And this sound is following you through the whole game. I mean, even if you don't know what you have to do, it's kind of like, hurry, 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 you will die, you will die, if you're not hurrying. And that's kind of scared me all the time. I couldn't play that game at night. That was just impossible. So yeah, let's show you the gameplay a little bit. I can't really move. So the only thing you can do is run around and search things. Where do I have to go? I even can't remember where I have to go. You can collect in this level somewhere a stick and a card. And that's pretty much, and another card. And that's pretty much everything I know about that game, and that's how far I got with that game. Yeah. So let's end this commentary here because it's already pretty. So no, I can't open that door. Wrong direction. You see this one running around? He will turn into an alien soon. So let's get away from him. So yeah, that's my retro collection of Game Boy. So yeah. Wish you good night. Bye.